Well, thanks for staying with us. Of course, we begin with the big story of the hour. The United States has struck Iran for a sixth consecutive night. Now, Tehran is now hitting back at the U.S. allies across the Gulf. Kuwait says it is responding to missile and drone threats, while air raid sirens were activated in Bahrain. Now, Qatar claimed it intercepted a missile attack after several blasts were reported in capital Doha. Earlier, Kuwait had announced it was responding to missile and drone threats. In Bahrain, the Interior Ministry said air raid sirens had been activated, urging residents to take shelter. Iranian state media claimed the country's military was targeting U.S. aircraft at an airbase in Bahrain. Now, the attacks on Gulf nations came after the U.S. military struck Iran for the sixth consecutive night. Of course, the U.S. military Central Command said it hit dozens of targets in its latest airstrikes, which concluded at dawn on Friday. Iranian state media reported strikes on an airport, a railway station, and two bridges. Now, according to Iranian official claims, strikes on two bridges in Hormozgan province killed 3 people and wounded 9 others. Another report said 3 explosions were heard around Iran Shahed airport, with at least 1 U.S. projectile allegedly hitting the facility. Iranian state television also reported 2 explosions in Bushehr town in Iran's only civilian nuclear power plant, along with an attack on a railway station in Bandar Abbas. Tehran had earlier warned it will target visual infrastructure if the United States carries out threats to attacks on Iran's infrastructure. Well, earlier, U.S. forces boarded a ship in the Gulf of Oman as part of Washington's renewed blockade of Iranian ports. U.S. Central Command also said 3 vessels aimed or attempting to circumvent the blockade had been intercepted and redirected since the measure was reimposed amid renewed hostilities. Meanwhile, the White House said the President Trump remains open to diplomacy with Iran, adding that Washington is still talking to Tehran despite the renewal of hostilities.
Fragmented system. They are not the once very strong, powerful terrorist state that they were before this operation, which was one of the ultimate goals. So we'll continue to work through the process. And as I said, the president will hold them accountable when they turn their back on the words that they state to the United States. But he is always open to diplomacy at the very same time.
Meanwhile, Yemen's Houthi rebels have warned they could target Saudi Arabia's oil facilities and other critical infrastructure if the conflict continues to escalate. Now, the warning comes just days after strikes hit the airport in the rebel-held capital of Sana'a.